Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Capitalist Investor. As always, you have me, Diamond Hands D, and we got the whole crew together this week. Cool Hand Luke, Tony the Tiger. What's going on, guys?
It's my favorite part of the three podcasts we do, the planning corner.
Yeah, favorite part of the week, really.
The dude stands up in his chair, gets all
So
snuggles
excited.
snuggles up towards the desk, and
Pumped.
Yeah. All right. So today we're talking about the most common signs of an incomplete retirement plan. So if you're out there getting ready to retire, already retired, 10 years from retirement, these are two things that we'll talk about that ring true that most people don't think about it. These honestly, like if everybody I meet, these are the top two things that are off the, I don't want to call them off the rails, but like it's something that's very important that most people just overlook. And the first thing is an uncoordinated investment strategy. And from the trenches and things like that, first telltale sign is scattered investment accounts, old 401ks. Hey, I opened an IRA 14 years ago over here. What's it doing? I have no idea. It's just over there. I get a statement every now and then. Wasn't never invested. It's sitting in a money market earning 0.1%. Like this stuff adds up very quickly because people they put money somewhere because their CPA said, hey, put my money, you got to make an IRA contribution. Okay, how do I do that? Go to the bank and open an IRA. But you already had an IRA open at Schwab probably.
Yeah.
Like there's all these things that happen that people just do because they just might not know the most efficient way to implement an investment strategy. So scattered accounts, and then when you start having these scattered accounts, you start having inconsistent investment strategies. This account's doing this, and that account's doing this. This is, this one's in a target fund. Okay, well, and none of this stuff gets recalibrated. Because there's maybe too many accounts to keep track of, and when you're an attorney, a lawyer, a plumber, electrician, whatever you are, like you're not a financial advisor, so you don't pay attention to this stuff, right? It's kind of like me. I don't pay attention to like almost half of the things in my life because it's not my normal lane, right? And then when it catches up to me, it's like, oh man, I should have canceled this years ago, and oh my God, I'm glad I did this. Recalibration of my life and say, okay, these are the 10 things I need to change. We do that on a day-to-day basis, but a lot of people don't. So
I go back to one thing that always surprises me is when I have someone come in and say, I'm pretty aggressive right now. Like I'm pretty comfortable with being aggressive. I'm pretty comfortable taking on stock market risk. Like I want to make money. And then we run their kind of, put it through our software, and we take their 5-6 different accounts they might have because they're all scattered around, put all their mutual funds in, and it ends up they're like not aggressive at all. They're very actually conservative with what they come in with.
Or the
opposite.
The other way is what I see a lot. Like, I think I'm fine. I think I got standard risk tolerance for my age and stuff, and I'm like, man, you're like 90% the stocks, and
exactly.
You're in your mid to late 50s or 60s, and like,
and in their mind, and the thing is, like when they tell us that, they 100% believe it. It's not like they're trying to be nefarious, like to tell us something other than what's happening. It's just because the mutual funds they have, like it's hard to dig deep into each one of those, especially if you have like 20 of them. It's hard to dig deep in each one, see how much stocks, bonds split up there is, what actually it owns. So you need to have some sort of advanced kind of software to put that through to really understand what the moving parts and pieces are within that investment strategy. So it's just really knowing what you own, that kind of whole mentality. A lot of people don't know what they have, don't know what they own.
Yeah, and I would say when people come in and sit down and talk with us and say they are, a 7 out of 10 on the risk scale, and like you guys were saying, a lot of the times it might be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. But what I think also a lot of people don't understand is just because you have, multiple accounts doesn't mean you have diversification. And that's another big problem, common problem I see, is you might have different accounts, maybe a 401k, maybe IRA at Fidelity, whatever the case. but everything's invested in the same stuff when you dig down underneath the mutual funds.
Yep.
So you're not getting much diversification, and you're just inherently taking more risk than you say that you're comfortable with. You know, those are recipes for disaster when the downtimes hit.
Yep.
So the other thing is with these investment accounts, a lot of them haven't been touched because the market's gone up for the last 10 to 15 years, literally.
Yep.
I mean, I know there's been hiccups in the last 10 to 15 years, but if you look at the SPY, you know, the ETF, it's basically straight up. It's over 150% since its lows in the 2010-ish, right?
Yep.
But here's the thing, short-term memory, and this might not be so short-term, but like between 2000 and 2010, the market was flat. Like you made no money in that whole decade.
Yep.
I think the market was up 3% in 10 years. Obviously, there were, 2 10-year floods and there were 100-year floods in that time frame. But like, there's the disconnect, and active management, getting this stuff consolidated, getting it tied to your plan is so important. The investment strategy. So,
well, because those floods, 20-year floods can happen again. Like, I'm not saying that's coming, but 20s people in their 20s, 30s, or even early 40s probably weren't investing much from 2000 to 2010. Like, they didn't have much money. They either weren't alive, they were too young, or they were just getting started in their careers and had no money. Okay, in your 50s and 60s, you remember that time, but it's 15, 20 years ago, and it doesn't hit home because it's been so long. So, like, it's that mentality is where having that basis of a financial plan that we always talk about that goes along with the investment strategy helps handle those 20-year floods that we have if it's around the corner, which I don't know for sure when it's going to come, but it's going to come eventually down the road. Yep. It's just part of the cycles.
Yep. So that's one of the main things that I see for a common sign of an incomplete retirement plan. The other one is that people don't pay attention to their budget. And because most Americans just spend what they make. It's pretty easy, actually. I know what your budget is. Do you save any money? No. All right, then you spend everything. So how much do you make? That's all right. And then we're done here. We're moving on, right?
Yep.
Or I save into my 401k. Is there anything outside? Are you saving anything in the checking and savings accounts? No. Okay. Well, I mean, again.
Well, it's a very easy backwards math equation. Like
back
I
to
do
the
that in
envelope
almost
math.
Every meeting. Like that.
Always.
Every meeting that I have, first kind of interaction, if they don't have a line item budget, I'm like, tell me what you make. Tell me what you think you spend. Okay, how much are you saving? Oh, you're not actually have money left over? Are you saving that? No. Like you said,
right,
it's being spent somewhere. It's a very easy equation, but the question then becomes after that, what are you spending the money on?
Right.
So we can figure out maybe do you need to spend money on that, or at least make you aware. It's not our job to tell you what to spend money on. It's our job to make you aware of what you are spending, so that way we can actually come up with a game plan for the future.
But the exercise itself. So the reason the budget is so important is that if you tell me you spend $5,000 a month, and you really spend $8,000 a month, when I build your plan for $5,000, and we need an extra $3,000 a month. Like every recommendation I made around $5,000 is off. Hey, you can spend more money. Oh, you already are. Like, it can break your plan. Yeah. I'd rather you tell me you think you spend 5. Tell me you spend 8. Tell me you overestimate, right? So that the recommendations can be more conservative coming from the plan, but we have an exercise for this. We have an Excel spreadsheet that lists nearly everything that we can think of that people spend their money on, right? And it's a tedious kind of task to write all this stuff down, but it's actually an eye opener for most people. And then also, like, it's done from what it's done for me is, again, identify things like these silent subscriptions I have. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like $15 over here and $10 a month over here. Like, what are these things? And it's like, oh, I signed up for that like 6 years ago. Somebody's still raking me. Yeah. So the budget is such a big number when it starts coming for me, Derek, and Luke to provide recommendations.
Well, also, and again, that's applying for retirees or pre-retirees or even those young people as well, because, there's, for example, my fiance just came onto our family phone plan that we have, It saved her $50 a month from switching from her phone plan to our family plan that we had between my two parents, my parents, my brother, and myself. Saved her $50 a month. There's simple things you can do to cut out probably thousands of dollars of expenses, just small tweaks like that, that can help your retirement plan and things like that. I go back. There's a good book out there my buddy wrote, Gordon Stein, Cash Flow Cookbook. It's a really good book just to how cut out like minimal or simple expenses that you don't even think about to save thousands of dollars throughout every year. I like that book a lot. I use it in my personal life. So.
Cool. All right. Well, good stuff this week, guys. If you have any questions out there for us, ideas for shows or planning topics, please hit us up at info@swpconnect.com, and we'll talk to you next time.
The opinions expressed in the podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any investment, legal, financial, or tax strategy. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. Please consult a qualified professional about your individual needs.